This is the Silt versus role-playing game A God Must Feed, the Confrontation Part 2. This is the conclusion of this campaign arc, though not necessarily the last time we will see these characters. There's a chance that we come back with another campaign arc, and so we'll see how that goes. But for now, well, I mean, unless one of the characters dies, then of course we won't see all the characters. This is what's going on. The Custodians are presently, they have infiltrated Substation Eremos, which is a little branch of the Farragal Institute. You know that the Institute is creating saints without the intervention of gods. That is what their grand project is. You've had enough hints of that, I think. And you now have to figure out, and this is your question, how does the Institute plan to implement their project? It's a complexity 6, and it allows you to resolve the confrontation by sabotaging, reclaiming, or destroying any work of the Institute which has ties to the Custodians. I wouldn't worry about that last bit so much. I think you just need to I think you just mostly just need to sabotage, reclaim, or destroy the work that they're doing, period. But we'll see. In any case, you have one clue that's available to use right now, which is that the Institute is producing doppelgangers that look like the character we know as Shay or Novice Timber. And it's not a capital C clue, but I think it's really important to note that these doppelgangers have been released out into the world, and they're kind of living lives out in the world, and it's not clear if they know what they are or if they are aware of each other. I'm not sure how that will bear into the solution, but I do think it's an interesting detail, and it's probably something to think about when you consider what is the connection to the Institute's plan, their ultimate plan of creating on-demand saints. So that's sort of the idea here. When we last saw the characters, you had just entered through this like sort of maintenance slash service tunnel. And I think we're going to begin with you all at what's essentially a large service elevator, having now access to the various floors of Substation Eremos. We don't have Amanda at the moment, but we will catch her up whenever she's able to join us. And so we'll just assume Sedna is kind of hanging out in the background for now. And so with all of that said, I'm going to tell you that you do reach the end of this long, wide tunnel. You get to this large service elevator. It's big enough for not just people, but also like, things on big rolling carts, that kind of thing, stuff that has to get loaded up somewhere, right? And it has 3 floors that you can go to. You can go higher to what is the ground floor of the institutes or of this station. You can go to what is called there are various it's just called on the elevator sub levels. And then there is another one for testing hangar, which is intriguing. And so I guess at this point, I want to just pick up with the 4 of you and see what you're interested in doing, where you're interested in going.
There's so many good options. This is so hard. I can you repeat those different floors one more time, just so I even have
There is
them?
the ground floor, the
Mhm.
sublevels, and the testing hangar.
Yeah, I mean, testing what? I feel
Yeah.
like I'm so
Uh,
curious now.
yeah, like we obviously have to go to the testing like floor. So like just like press that button and let's go.
Hmm. Pele, I think perhaps, do you wish to come along, or do you wish to scout out the ground floor to ensure that security is not going to be a problem?
Where do you need me to go?
Uh,
Ground floor, Pele.
uh you're not looking so hot there, Pele. Let me offer at least some amount of assistance here. And I reach out my hand to touch you, Pele.
There's a flinch at first, as not like a oh, that scares me, don't touch me, as if like a oh, I don't deserve this. And then there is an acquiescence.
And I will trigger let it pass on to me by taking Pele's condition of badly burned.
Sounds good. Go ahead and roll with vitality.
Let's go. That is a 10.
Nice. On a 10 plus, it says, let's see here. You get to choose 2 from your list.
The ritual does not attract unwanted attention because we do not need that right now. And you gain insight about a nearby danger.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because we're about to head like downwards.
Yeah, I like that. I think the elevator, while you're doing this, the elevator has like a little radio system that is apparently connected to other parts of the station, and it occasionally squawks. Like, from different people, like, communicating with each other. And at one point you hear a little, this is Warden Jared Shrike. Yeah, I'm currently headed. Yeah, it looks like I'm headed to one of the sublevels right now. Head to sublevel Q at the moment. Looks like we've got an escape test subject. Gonna go put that down real quick.
So let's not go to the sublevels for now. Perhaps when Sedna comes back from whatever it was she was doing back there, she can disable the elevator and just keep them trapped down there with that thing. But Pele, how are you feeling? You look better. You look significantly better. Theo, you don't.
I normally don't.
I don't believe I deserve that, but if it helps, it helps. Just tell me where you need me to go. Ground level, I'll make sure they don't follow after you.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan. We will be subtle and examine this testing hangar. I think this is your stop. Bing!
Very good. So you go up to the ground floor. And yeah. We'll let you out, Pele. And as you start walking around, maybe the ground floor is harsh, fluorescent lit corridors, tasteless patterned carpet and vinyl floors. Dim, cramped offices feature bulky computer monitors, cluttered filing cabinets, shelves packed with old equipment. Spindly plants wither behind stacks of paperwork and reference materials. Let's paint the scene, everyone. What does the workplace culture of the Institute demand of its employees? What artifacts of personal gods have been brought in by employees for protection? And I will say that you do see a few employees milling around. Not too many, but a few.
There's a poster on a wall, one of those like work motivation posters. In the event of a catastrophic failure, bow to your god and pray before you die. It's just the polite thing to do.
I hate you so much. You took my idea. Oh. There is sort of this petty feud still ongoing about this person trying to bring like this little personal god of their family from home and like put it on their desk, but because of it's effectively just a very weird looking conch shell with like googly eyes attached to it. People think it's really tacky and they keep throwing it in the trash and trying to replace it with a more dignified little bobblehead. And like it keeps on like these little totems keep on getting cycled back and forth.
there are way too many of those designation lines that you see in laboratories that tell you like to this lab or to this testing site. There's just way too many of them to count, that it just seems like it's just way too much, and it's confusing, and it can discombobulate you sometimes because you think you're following one color, then you realize that you're following a different shade of that same color that's just a little bit off, and now you're in the whole different part of the facility.
Fantastic. I love it. So I do want to point out that this elevator is like a service elevator. It's not the ones that people use to get between the various floors. It's only used for moving large, like, things in and out, basically. And so it lets off in a part of the ground floor that's a little out of the way, actually. And so, Pele, that does work to your advantage. You can sort of integrate yourself into the scene a little less conspicuously if you wish. What do you do?
Yeah, I think we see like Pele is like ready to rip people apart and like expecting like direct, like aggressive interference, and then there is none. And so you just see Pele look around, move the beanie down a little bit farther onto their head, and then start picking up like a box or something. And it's just going to start quietly observing, and not going to panic if things do get out of hand or if they get spotted, but it's just going to try to ingratiate and see what the vibe is like here.
Go ahead and make the information move. I think you can make it, I would say, probably with focus, and I don't think your conditions are going to apply. You can roll with 2d6.
Okay, no items I want to use. This is fine. Let's just go ahead and roll. That is, you said with focus?
Yeah,
A 7.
7. Fantastic. I'll come back to you in a moment. Jasper and Theo, we don't know where Sedna is at the moment. I'm going to say Sedna's with Pele just for ease right now. Jasper and Theo, you're going down to the testing hangar. That's a long trip in the elevator. As the elevator goes down.
Is it just me, or is this elevator moaning at us? Oh, it seems to like that.
It stops at one point. Ding. Doesn't open the grate or the gate, and
Just finger the close button a little bit just in case.
yeah, if you can, so it's one of those things where like the gate, you can look out at the gate, but it's not opened up onto anything. Like there's just wall there, like wall and pipe, right? You're like stuck between floors, it would seem. What do you do?
Are we
Oh,
going to have to climb out here?
no. We're not going to need to do anything as tawdry as that. Give me a moment. Hold on. I've worked in black box before. Hold on.
You hear something above you in the shaft.
Oh, so that's where it went.
Ah, I see. This is bad. Allow me to fix this. Oh boy. Yes, stuck as we were in this four-sided prison of industry.
Whatever
it
it
was,
is, it's getting closer.
It is, and I'm monologuing faster as I'm trying to all the world's a stage to fix the fucking elevator.
I love
I'm
it.
gonna monologue this elevator into motion.
Give me the monologue.
He says, yes, stuck, trapped as we were in these walls of steel and concrete. Nope, concrete walls beyond our. Fuck, I don't work well under pressure, Theo. Hold on. Trapped we were in this box of metal. The grate shut above us, a foe beneath us, a mystery ever more sinister with the approach of our pressing gaze, and yet, when the company of a pox monk, my suffering alleviated, I felt cleared of my burdens, my mind a crystal ball through which I see with most clarity the utmost sense of self. And in this long and tawdry fucking performance, eventually the elevator began to move.
I love it. Do you roll dice here?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I fucking love the idea of just like, yes, let me use my reality altering powers, but it's such a fucking chore.
it is a bit of a chore. Roll with presence. Roll with presence.
Absolutely.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see. Roll with presence. Okay. Do I have disadvantage?
Nah.
All right. Cool. Roll with presence, which is a 2. Okay. Okay, that is a 7.
That is a 7. Let's keep reading here. It says, on a hit, some detail about the world from your performance is now true. Say what it is. On a 7-9, the performance is deemed acceptable, but not impressive.
We know.
You have to take a disappointment.
Yeah, that's so fair.
What is your detail?
That the elevator, it moves.
Moves. Okay, very good.
Starts again.
The elevator snaps to life, starts going down again. You hear that thing wailing, and then you hear gunfire in the shaft. Bah, 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 bah. And a split second later, just a loud, heavy thud as whatever the hell that is lands on top of the elevator. Da-dunk. And then... Yeah.
Should we open it just to take a look?
I don't know. There was gunshots out there.
I mean, like sort of like open the hatch from above and then let it fall in.
Be my guest. I guess if you want to do that. That sounds like a terrible idea, but you're the
That
pox.
was like a terrible idea. Please make the veiled move. What are you afraid is going to happen if this does in fact end up being a really bad idea?
The saint isn't actually dead.
Actually dead, yes.
I'm hoping that it is dead, so like we make it a clue out of it, but who knows?
I can kill 2 Theos with 1 stone, so it's fine.
Please go ahead and roll with, I don't know. I think this is probably insight, I guess. Since this is certainly your mental faculty in play here. Go ahead and roll with insight if you want to continue with this action.
Sure. Do I have disadvantage at all?
Jolly, scratched up leg, bad leaper. I don't think so. No.
Okay. I'm going to burn Jolly to empty to gain advantage because like I have just a good outlook. Nothing could go wrong here. Jesus Christ. That was a bad roll, but thankfully I had an advantage. That's a 7.
A 7. Okay. We'll see what happens when you open the hatch in a moment. Pele Kessel. Pele, let me give you a clue. Something you can observe while you're looking around in what's essentially the admin part of the substation, right? In my mind, it looks a lot like that first part of control, right? Like it's definitely got like that vibe, you know. Your clue. Your clue is one that maybe doesn't have a lot of like immediate meaning, but you can give it meaning when you go to answer the question, which is you find on a desk a dog-eared, apparently heavily notated with stickies, safety instruction handbook containing and it seems to be, and it basically says like, uh, it's a book about the handling of test subjects and safely dealing with them. You can swipe that if you want. Well, it's a clue in any case. So, and as you're looking around, um, as you're looking around, you get approached. You get approached by a man who is handsome but frazzled. We'll say it looks like he's had a long work day. Um, his gaze is kind of restless, looking all over the place, and he's sort of scratching some things on a clipboard. Um, and then he sets it down and he picks up a Grinding Lord branded mug, um, stamped with a silver eye, the exclusive logo of the Unceasing Wakeful membership club. You know, it's late night. He's here still working. He walks right up to you, and he says, "Hey."
Hello?
I don't think we know each other. I'm Orion Lux.
I'm Shay.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you new or something?
Yes, and dreadfully lost.
Oh, oh yeah. Well, I can help you out with it with that. No trouble. Um, where are you trying to head to, Shay?
Oh, I just have a series of forms that need to be written and turned into and I'm going to look through the clipboard that
Yeah.
I found.
Or you found
And
like a manual.
yeah, the manual. I'm just gonna open it, flip through, and then pick up one of the sticky notes and
Yeah.
say, Dr. Ishra Caro.
Oh, Dr. Caro. This is well, Dr. Caro, he is mostly involved in field level work. He doesn't come to Substation Eremos that often. But I can probably maybe oh, how about research director Harrow? Would he do?
Absolutely. That sounds like the person in charge.
Right. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely take you to his office. So what's this all about?
Field stuff, test subjects getting into vials.
I think I want the veiled move at this point because I'm not he's a nice guy, but I'm not sure he's necessarily falling for this. We'll see. What are you afraid is going to happen if your ruse does not work?
Ah, things are gonna get out of hand.
Okay, that's pretty wide open to interpretation. I'll take it. Go ahead and roll with focus.
That is an 11.
Nice. We'll pick up with you in a moment. Amanda's here. Let's take a. I'm not going to take a break, but I'm going to pause the recording to catch Amanda up with what's going on. Okay, Amanda caught up. Sedna, you're roaming around the ground floor as well, while Pele gets pulled away by Orion. What are you doing?
This is sort of an administrative floor, right? I would
This.
like to peek through somebody's cubicle.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
can learn a lot about people by what they keep in their cubicle.
I think so. Go ahead and roll the information move with. I think we'll stick with insight for this. And let's. Overconfident is a really problematic condition here. I'm putting you at disadvantage.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Insight at disadvantage. I don't have enough dice. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's nice. That's 5.
Ah, a
Great
5.
start.
Good start. Good start. You're poking around. You're looking around. Hmm. Looking into cubicles, seeing what you can find. And I think, oh, let's see where I want to go with this. I have an idea, but I'm just taking a look at my notes. Ah, okay. You're looking around and you hear a woman say, "Oh, there you are."
I'm gonna look around and see if she's talking to somebody that's not me.
She's talking to you. This woman has radiant skin, a beaming smile, unblinking fervor in her gaze. She's wearing like very simple cotton robes, and she says, "We were wondering where the St. Electric technician was, but here you are. What are you doing on this floor?"
I got lost.
Oh, well, I'm Samara Quinn, birthing attendant. We need you down on sublevel P, so come this way quickly.
Uh, okay.
And she says, "So, I assume you've signed all the appropriate forms, all the non-disclosure agreements that you can't talk about what you see here at Substation Eremos, correct?"
I have definitely signed those forms, yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. She takes you to the regular elevator, like just a regular normal elevator where, various people, at this time of day, there's not a lot of people, there's not a lot of traffic in it, but this is where the elevator they'd use to get places. She takes you inside and she closes the door. She says, "I want you to know that I really appreciate the sacrifice you're making."
What is it about this sacrifice that you appreciate most?
Well, I mean, you must be very, very dedicated to the Saint Electric if you're willing to have yourself installed inside our machinery in order to ensure that it works. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's really dedication, I think.
That would be very dedicated for somebody to do. I agree. Have there been other people installed in this machinery beforehand? Is this
Yes,
usual?
it, I I don't want to make you feel any more complicated feelings than you probably already do about this whole situation. But the people who get installed in the machinery to act as living circuits for the machinery, they do live out their days in quite a lot of pain before dying in a ball of white hot fire. It's, you know,
And they they power everything here? This whole
well, this particular machine, this particular incubator, it it's well, let's just say it requires much more direct intervention from the saint to make sure that it works on a regular basis. That's where you come in.
and I'm here.
Ah, we really
You,
appreciate it. Everybody here at the Institute appreciates your sacrifice, truly.
how many people are here at the Institute that appreciate me?
Oh gosh, she says, um, I have my own things that I can't talk about because of my position. But just know that you will not be forgotten. And indeed, when the elevator door pops open, you see like a wall of pictures of the people who have been the living circuits in this machine, and like it's like a little in memoriam. And there's an empty frame where presumably your picture will go.
Is there anybody else in this hallway?
Right now, no.
I want to take the frame off the wall and hit her over the head with it.
Very good. Okay, I love it. That's going to be the veiled move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
She's gonna get one up on me, and I'm gonna get plugged into this machine.
Okay, let's go ahead and roll with vitality. I won't make overconfident apply here because I think you're just acting very desperately. Vitality 2d6.
That's a 10.
Nice. You have control of the scene. Go ahead and describe how you disable her.
I walk slowly past these pictures, reading the names of the people, looking at their faces, and just sort of processing what this woman, her name was Samara, what she was telling me. And I get to the empty frame with the little empty plaque. It's not been engraved yet, and it's pretty basic, just like a basic black frame, very classy, kind of sterile. And I think I take it off the wall, off of the nail, and I hold it in my hands and look at it. And I can see her reflection standing behind me in the empty glass. And I just whip around and crash it over her head as hard as I possibly can. And she just sort of crumples to the floor like a Kleenex.
I love it. By the time you kind of get your bearings again, take a breath. You hear a grinding whirring of machinery down at the other end of the hall. You hear sizzling and sparking. Then you hear, God damn it, where's the new circuit? And then all the lights go out, plunging the hallway into darkness. We'll pick back up with this in a moment. Meanwhile, fortunately for everybody else, that's on a different generator than the rest of the facility. Theo and Jasper, you open up the hatch. You got mixed result, right, Theo?
Yes, I got a 7.
The thing that falls out down into the floor with you looks vaguely like Shay/Novice Timber, but only in the eyes and the mouth and the nose. That's basically the only recognizable part of them. The face is puffed up and flabby, like a deflated, like a balloon that was blown up and then deflated, right? Kind of hanging like that. The body is a twisted, stretched thing. The bones have been like the rib cage of this thing it looks like it's almost been manipulated. It's been pulled out, stretching the skin of the things back, making like almost like a weird, like almost like wings out of their back flesh, right? And the legs are just shriveled little things, and the arms are massively oversized. It seems like it uses its arms to get around. It falls down. It is riddled with bullet holes, and it looks up at you, Theo, and says, help me, help me. Theo, what do you do?
This sort of creature is clearly not natural. This is sort of why I think in the previous sessions Theo has gotten upset at the casual creation of life, because sometimes you would end up with something like this, and this thing needs to die.
Maybe if you work
Right.
in community theater.
Jasper, do not make side comments about this. Let me monologue when I need to monologue.
No commentary needed from the Greek chorus in this one. I'm actually going to give you, since you took the bold move of opening the hatch, I'm going to give you the existence of this thing as a clue. Basically, the clue is they're using the Shay doppelgangers as the test subjects. They're using them to birth new saints. I think, Jasper, how do you react to the sight of this thing?
Like I want to get off the elevator. This is gross.
Yeah, it is indeed.
I'd rather
Brandon's-
not be here.
I'm content with Theo's resolution here, or resolve. I'm not sure about yours, Jasper. I want the veiled, maybe revelation.
My life is so hard. I have the hardest life of anyone in the territories.
I think it's the veiled
Fine.
move. The veiled move. What do you
Fine.
think is going to happen if you don't keep your nerve right now?
I'm gonna lose my lunch.
Very good. Please roll with vitality in that case, and let's just see how you do.
I know it's not how conditions work. I just think it's funny. I'm empty, so in a sense, that's not hindering me. All right, let's see. Oh, that's really good, actually. That is an 11.
Nice. Well, Jasper's keeping it together. Theo, this thing is like asking for your help. What do you do?
Gotta check out what's in my altar. Do they have
This
any-
elevator ride is so fucking long.
Oh yeah, I do have a government manual entitled Architectural Miracles Guidelines for Neutralization. I wonder if they do have guidelines about neutralizing building saints, and maybe that could help me kill this thing.
Yeah, I mean, are you thinking about just killing it beyond just physically destroying it, or doing something, or going deeper than that?
I think just physically killing it, because I imagine this is just one of many creatures here like this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to make you make a roll here. I just want to know what you do. So
Yeah. I think originally I am opening this book and the manual and just going through it, and it's more about the spiritual destruction, making sure things pass on. But it's a big book, and then I just smash it over the head of this creature.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
So yeah, Jasper, you're just I imagine trying to open the door in the background and just watching Theo do this.
Yeah, the elevator stops finally at the testing hangar. You can open up the gate. Theo, I would like for you to take a condition callous, and we'll check back in with Pele. Pele, Orion is kind of running on at the mouth, about different things as he walks you down the halls. He's like, yeah, initial results are very, very promising, but we need a little bit more data. There's a few directions I think we could go with the implementation, but there's just not enough subjects, I mean, even with all of the, well, the hive-based inputs, we need more. We need different types. It's difficult trying to make miracles happen when you're just using the same old lump of clay to fashion the idol from. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense. I thought we were supposed to get more interns this series or this season. I don't know what. Anyway.
What about the test subjects?
I'm sorry, what?
What about the test subjects? What about their purpose is to just be used?
For the greater good, to be fair.
The greater good. What good is that?
Well, I mean, surely you understand that we're trying to break our dependency on the gods.
Break your dependency on the gods. But we've built society around the dependency of the gods. Everything that we do is done in service to them so that they might provide for us, but you want to break that, though it's considered wrong to heresy? What you're speaking of is of heresy.
And he kind of backs up from you and he says, I think maybe there's a bit of a misunderstanding here.
I think so. I think you misunderstand your part in all of this. I think you all misunderstand your parts in this design. You're trying to not sever your connection to the gods. You're trying to become one. All of you. You think that you matter enough. And Pele's gonna step closer, like breaking and going, a sacrifice is one that is given not without pain, but willingly. It is an understanding, a contract between the gods. But what you are doing is you're cutting out that contract and you're just trying to make wholesale batteries to be changed out when they're used up.
You hear another voice, a man. I'll take this from here, Orion. And you see a man wearing a light-swallowing arachnofiber suit and sunglasses. He has a very casual stroll despite the intensity of the situation he's just observed. He steps up to you, he puts his hand out, and he says, I'm Dr. Vaughn Harrow, Research Director here at the Institute. I believe you have met my colleague, Dr. Ishikaro.
Indeed.
Follow me, Mr. Kessel.
You're gonna see this like confusing, confounding storm in Pele's brain of wanting to wring the neck of this little guy over here and then wanting to follow and then just wanting to slam both of their heads together. And then Pele just does a very quick and a stop flenching motion towards the smaller guy.
Nice. Good.
And then follows.
Fantastic. Let's take a 5-minute break. The testing hangar. As you step out into it, Jasper and Theo, you see that it is a massive sealed vault with soundproof walls, sacrificial cages, numerous operating stations, each with arrays of blinking buttons and knobs. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Researchers have been testing an experimental project extensively here. How can you tell they are close to its final iteration?
Larger parts of the room, like the machinery and laboratory equipment, is mostly now kind of disregarded. There's this sense of like, there's like this one part of this room that all efforts are now focused around, as opposed to the entire network of various systems present.
There are people standing about checking off large checklists, sort of like airline flight lists. And there you can already tell that all the lists are mostly filled out. It's just the last little chunks on the clipboards, on the posters, on the walls. There's not much left to be done.
There is a pitiful table with a pitiful amount of streamers that's with a sign that's a banner that's pitifully says "We did it," and there is like a couple bottles of sparkling fruit juice.
I think the more interesting cages that catch Theo's eyes are sort of to the brim, pulsating with flesh.
You'll see a little ways away you'll see a pair of technicians. They are frantically reciting something from a stack of pages as a space that is the subject of their little station is shimmering and pulsating wildly. They're desperately trying to get it under control, and one of them like cries out, it's no use, it's no use, go ahead, hit the button for the quick release holy water tank. And they do, and just a bunch of water splashes down on that glowing pulsating thing, and it's no more. And they're like, oh, thank God. Somewhere else you see creatures in cages being destroyed by pre-recorded self-destruction incantations. And deeper still, at the very, very far end of the testing hangar, you hear buzzing, loud, droning buzzing. It's so loud that it actually escaped the soundproof walls, and you heard it a little bit when you first entered the facility. Jasper, what do you do?
Kind of taking it all in, I look to the side. Oh, I took for my advance, I took prop work as a new move. So I'm a master of improvisation. I can craft a captivating story with whatever materials are available, and sometimes with things that did not exist until a moment ago when your lines called for them. Once per session, you can declare any practical item, a tool, resource, weapon, or religious paraphernalia now exists as part of the set and add it to your altar. The keeper can make alterations or ask how the item is connected to the current scene. The item vanishes at the end of the session. Oh, a gun.
How convenient. Very good. Theo, what are you doing?
I look baffled at Jasper suddenly having a gun. I'm so goddamn scared. I don't know which is worse, being stuck in this weird, like, experimental zone where there's things being born and created and destroyed and Jasper. I have a sort of question because I have like a lot of moves. Is like the experiments on these creatures, are they because of like a divine source or a man-made source?
Make the information move if you're looking around trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
I think that would be, I mean, how are you trying to figure this out?
Sort of looking at it because like I can always discern whether or not an illness is sort of caused by a god or divine source, but or like they're like doing something else than our role.
So it's probably communion then, I would say. Make the information move with communion, and I don't think any of your conditions will affect you.
Okay, that is a 10.
I'll give you a clue. We'll pick back up with this in a moment. Sedna, you're in a dark hall. Whatever's going on in the chamber at the end of the hall, it's getting a little frantic in there as they're trying to figure out what to do. Power's lost. They're really worried about something like happening if they don't get power restored. If they don't get power restored to this floor quickly enough. What are you doing?
I think I'm going to feel along the walls and see if I can feel where the electrical wires are, like a human stud finder, but the opposite of studs. I want to use my a voice in the static move. That's where I can tune into the airwaves. In this case, more like the electricity waves, and use it to communicate with the saint or whatever.
I like it. I'm into it. I think that fits the scene really well, actually. Is that do you have to roll something? It says.
I roll with communion.
Okay, go ahead.
Of course, my communion is still -1, so we'll see how good this is. Do my conditions apply here?
No.
Oh, good, thank you. Okay, yeah, that's a 2.
As you move down the hall, down the corridor, you're not getting any communication from the saint at this time. And you hear at the end of the chamber, we've got to hurry, get what, I'm doing the best I can. I don't know what to do. And there's commotion. They're trying to get like something turned back on. Oh my God, it's too late. It's breaking free of its restraints. And then you hear just like shatters. And you hear shattering glass. You hear the crying of a baby. And then screams of these people in this room. What do you do?
In the dark, I'm going to charge up to this room and throw open the door to see what's going on.
You throw open the door and you see a large, and I would say large in the sense of like it's the size of like a truck, a large malformed fetus using its sort of withered, twisted little hands to tear apart one of these individuals while the other scrambles back on his butt and hands, and he says, I'm so sorry. It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time. But you weren't supposed to be born yet. And this incredibly large fetus with eyes that are milky and occluded and a voice that sounds like a baby crying, but it's not quite. It's a little sort of wet and more of a more of a bellow than a cry, I would say.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Was waiting.
It crawls forward and just sticks its 3 talon-like fingers on its one hand just directly into the skull of that individual. And then it uses its little gill-like nose slits as it's smelling you out, and it is now crawling toward you. Sedna, you can see all of this in the dim emergency light. You don't have a lot of. What do you do?
Well, a few times in the past, I have accidentally fried people. I would like to try and channel that energy purposefully this time.
This is going to,
This
well, yeah. Is this a particular move, or are we just doing the revelation move here?
it's sort of like the sacred conduit. The sacred conduit, when I channel the divine currents of Saint Electric, I can mark a charge box and make my next roll with advantage.
Yeah.
I'm sort of using that because as far as Sedna knows, when she does this, it makes people cry after.
Oh, but what you're really trying to do is get that last box so that you can do the arc of raw divine current. Is that the idea?
Yes. Yeah, but I don't think Sedna knows that she has marking. She doesn't know she's marking
Yeah.
boxes.
I think you're just. I get it. I'm super into it. Yeah, we can play with this. I don't think there's going to be any roll, but you can mark that last box and go ahead and.
I'll roll with vitality.
No, no. Let's stick with the rules. So you mark the charge. Go ahead and make the go ahead and mark the charge, but make the revelation move. You'll roll it with advantage. It's going to be the revelation move, and I just want to know what your phrase is going to happen if you fail right now.
It's gonna talon me in the face and the skull like it did with that thing or that person.
That is true. That is going to happen. And then it's going to defensively protect your body from anybody who shows up here as if you were its mother.
Oh, I hate it.
Go ahead and roll with, I think it's vitality because you're trying to like channel electricity.
And advantage, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay, that is a 12.
You will definitely survive this situation because you got such a good result. I'll give you a clue as well. Unfortunately, your charge track is now full. Raw divine current is erupting from your body. Roll with vitality because I want to just see how that goes.
2.
Great. On a miss, you are transformed into an immortal saint of the divine current. Describe it and then retire this character. First, describe how you defend yourself from the creature. What does that look like?
It's still dark in this room. We can see some sort of emergency lighting trying to come on from generator power. The lights are sort of flickering. It's almost a strobe effect. And Sedna, watching this thing impale the skull of this poor man, she starts to step forward slowly, and you can see the circuits underneath her skin starting to glow that sort of white light blue, and her eyes are starting to glow the same kind of color, the arc energy that she gets channeled through her somehow when this happens, that the saint puts in her when this happens, is lighting up her insides. And this fetus, this monstrosity, turns, and as it reaches towards her skull, it's almost slow motion with its talon. When it gets close enough, you can see a little zap of energy, the first indicator that something has changed, and the air itself is electrified. The creature gets closer, the zap becomes stronger. It's like a bolt of lightning. It is like an explosion of white hot light. It gets knocked backwards by the force of it, and Sedna just stands there watching as this creature starts to sizzle a little bit, and it makes that horrible sort of keening sound that it was making, but this time in a screech of pain. And it turns to look at her with its malformed, unseeing eyes.
And you got to miss though on
Sure did.
sacred on the overcharge. Unless you're gonna, I mean, this is it for your character unless you're gonna write a verse. So
I'm gonna write a verse.
okay. Instead, you have to choose one from your options there.
Pele. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Mechanical objects nearby are unaffected and do not become a danger.
Okay. It's good you picked that one because I was about to make it really complicated down in the testing hangar if you had not. Fantastic. Go ahead and you've got your verse marked. You can unmark all your charge boxes. I do owe you a clue. We'll get to that in a moment. Pele. Vaughn, with his very, very black, slick suit and sunglasses. You can see that Vaughn he has there's a slight shimmer around his body, a little bit like the weirding modules in the Dune, right? Like that little shimmer, around his body. Some kind of protective thing he must have on him. So just be aware of that. You'll see it. I think he wants you to see it so that you don't try anything. And he says, "This wasn't actually how I thought we were going to meet, but I'm glad we've had a chance to finally make this connection."
Lad. Why?
Well, Dr. Caro has been making a series of reports about you and your colleagues from BIASD, and, well, we've come to the conclusion that we think there might be a place for you in the Farragut Institute. I mean, think about it. You are 4 individuals who have, let's just say, a complicated relationship with your respective gods, and yet you are still able to do so much. You and your colleague, Mr. Finch, are able to create life, which would be very, very helpful in an environment like this. You have a pox monk who is very, very efficient and effective at tending to physical wounds and disability and diseases. Really, really helpful when you see some of the stuff we get up to in this place. Let me tell you. Wish we had a pox monk on hand, one as skilled as your Mr. Solomon. And then imagine powering the whole thing with a follower of the Saint Electric who hates the Saint Electric. It's perfect. We are trying to grab hold of, seize, manipulate, use, ideate divine power without the divine. Don't you see how groundbreaking that is? I just think your particular skill sets would be so much, well, so much more appreciated and put to better use here than they are at BIASD. You don't want to spend the rest of your life trying to dig pissant little backyard family gods out of ditches, or wrangling up witless angels terrorizing meat processing plants. That's chump shit, Pele Kessel.
And I'm expected to assume that we would just follow your every order, correct?
Well, I like to think that our work environment is more collaborative than that. We are, you know, I like to view our organizational structure as more of a circle than a ladder.
What does that even mean?
Come into my office.
Is I understand that I am a large being capable of great feats of strength, and I have done things that might think or might seem not the smartest. Do you truly believe me to expect that you would allow myself and my 3 other compatriots to work here and walk around free without there being any consequences for what we've done for you and your research so far?
What have you done so far?
It lives in me. And so far, I still have this urge to pop your head like a pimple. Not very controlling, it would seem. And you have that nifty little gadget on you and everything, but I'm sure that if I lifted you up and carried you to the top of this wretched facility and threw you down, something would happen. And if you were still alive, then I would just have to put a little bit of force right here.
I can tell you're still angry about the Welkins Vigil situation.
I am infuriated about the Welkins Vigil situation. I am infuriated with people such as yourself and Dr. Ishikaro that believe that you are above the laws and the balance of what happens beyond us. You are responsible for making the decisions and making changes of things that directly affect you. But when you start messing with things like you are now, that's when somebody like me comes along. I was not sent here because I knew of you. And I was given a report about you. I was sent here because it was predetermined long ago by those greater than myself and than you that we should collide in this moment. Now I will ask you kindly to stop what you are doing here. Cease whatever research is happening here and let them go. Or I will break every single bone in your body, so all you can do is sit and watch while me and my compatriots pull it apart brick by brick.
I thought you might say something like that. And he goes over to a little TV monitor and presses a button. And you see Shay in a glass tube pounding on it. Can't hear it. It's closed circuit. He says, I think you'll find that beneath that glass containment unit is, well, let's just say We have several security devices in place. Pre-recorded self-destruction incantations, automated sniper turrets, underfloor, quick action incinerators. It would be nothing for me to trigger any or all of them. I would like for you to make the veiled move. What do you afraid is going to happen right now?
Then I'm gonna lose my cool.
Roll with focus. And I think because of C's too much, I'm going to put you at disadvantage as well.
I'm going to mark the handheld wind wand. Its fan blade stamped with prayer marks of both the Saint Electric and the Blessed Breeze, as Pele is holding on to it, just like behind like their back and tightening it, just trying to stay calm, holding like what would be the best for Shay is kind of like the thought process there.
I'll give it to you.
That's a 3.
3. I'll take the fiction. You do lose control. You leap across the desk at Von Harrow. But this defensive prayer mark that he has that causes this like shield to be around him, it creates just enough slipperiness, or you can't quite get your hands on him, and he managed to get out of your grasp just enough to press a button on his desk, which alerts someone wherever Shay is. And you see that glass tube just fill with fire. Although you don't hear it, you just see it. But you do see her pounding against the glass, but only for a brief few seconds before her body is turned into cinder.
I would like to write a verse.
Very well.
I'm going to mark the Ashen Circle, narrate a flashback.
That's ironic.
Yeah. Narrate a flashback to the day when your farm was visited by the corporation's private agents and how they finally pressured your family into signing a contract with Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth. Increase your communion by 1. So I'm going to increase my communion by 1. But I think this is a very short flashback. But I think we just see that moment of Shay has been long ago, that flashback that we saw of not Shay but Pele fighting against Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth people but losing eventually, just being overwhelmed. We see now that moment of being like before being water like milk boarded and turned into a follower, just wrapped in this straight jacket like device that every time Pele fights, it digs metal claws into them, and there is a muzzle on them, and they are sitting in a simple farmhouse around a table. It looks like the opening of Inglorious Bastards, very like provincial and everything, but you can see off in the distance there's still like fire burning and smoke, and we see Pele's parents, mother and father, being held in the farmhouse along with some of Pele's siblings. And there is a person that looks very much similar to this doctor, but in Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth, like the Starship Troopers, but the Sweet Jolly Crunch Toothification of that, like wide lapelled trench coats in this pink and purple and white. And you can just hear it's just muffled, and Pele's just staring directly at their family, and they just nod. And finally, the dad and mom sigh and acquiesce and sign a contract, signing Pele over. The representative of Sweet Jolly Country seems overjoyed, elated, and says that they will leave them to collect themselves and start their life over again, and says, "Come, Pele." And they begin to lead Pele out. And as they leave the house and they step a bit away, the representative holds up a hand, turns and looks at two Sweet Jolly Crunch Tooth members and says, "Actually, that took longer than expected. It took much too longer, so we have to show them exactly what happens when you take too long with development." And we see these two representatives turn back, start barring the doors and windows, and set the house on fire.
Nice. Jasper and Theo, you actually have access to a move while you're down here in the testing hangar.
Ooh.
Say more right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why you'd want to engage with this move, but who knows? Maybe I'm not seeing something. When you invoke a divine element within a living sacrifice, meaning one of the subjects down here, roll with communion. The roll is made at disadvantage unless you include any of the following elements: a ritual formula or specific prayer mark, a relevant invocation, class 5 hazardous materials, or if you have marked the bleeding revelation. On a 10 plus, the ritual succeeds, transforming the sacrifice into an immortal saint. Describe it. On a 7 to 9, it succeeds but takes a heavy toll. I describe something that the saint consumes as it emerges or other complications that arise from engaging with it. On a miss, the ritual is completed but is not contained to the sacrificial subject. The keeper describes any destructive miracles that affect the environment and anyone nearby, including unintended sainthood.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to create a saint while you're down here, you could give that a go.
I see the wheels turning there, Alex.
Be
I don't know
thinking
what you're
about
talking
that.
about.
I'm going to check in with Sedna. Sedna, I owe you a clue, correct?
Yes, because I don't remember what I did.
Mhm.
Oh, I rolled really well on that roll.
That's right, you did. Yeah. Let's see. The clue here is going to be you find a series of informal notes in this birthing chamber or this birthing center, a series of notes that details one of these researchers' personal theories, including an untested prayer mark. I will click that here. I will also tell you that at the opposite end of this room is the entrance to the service elevator.
Okay.
You must be in the sublevels.
And the thing is dead now, right?
Yes.
Oh, good. I fried it.
Yeah.
Is there only the one birthing instrument incubator in this room?
No. There are other large glass vessels with gigantic fetuses in various stages of development.
Are they connected in some way?
What do you have in mind?
I have on my person an elixir that dissolves concrete and melts steel, and I want to destroy all of these.
Oh, very good. You can be doing that. I think that's good. Yeah.
I think also I would like to do my verse. It's not very long.
Go ahead.
So I am doing the Ashen Circle. Narrate a flashback to the time when you discovered your new abilities and were contracted in service to the saint. Oh, increase your communion by 1. Nice. Give me that. I'm now at 0 communion. So the town of Windrip is no more. You've seen to that. And you follow the quiet whispered instructions from the small red radio, and it is your mother's voice. You're sure of it now. Each step you take away from the town, you feel stronger. You feel an energy flowing through you. Sparks start to fly from your feet when you step on rock, and from your fingers when you touch the electronics on your person. The forest eventually empties into a long field full of tall grass, and at the center, a large, lonely radio tower. It's in disrepair, it's been long forgotten, hasn't been serviced in a very long time. There, your mother says from the radio. Go to it. And you do. You can feel the tower as you get closer. You can feel the sad, minimal charges of electricity running through the wires in the ground. They're barely strong enough to run the electricity barely strong enough to run through the wires, let alone to power this entire tower. But you can feel it like a muted heartbeat, weakening every moment, and you are overcome with sadness for this tower dying alone in a field. You reach out when you get there, and the radio murmurs its approval. You touch your cold hands to the rusted metal poles at the base, like gently, softly, like somebody might touch a wounded animal. Carefully, you lower yourself to your knees, hands pressed to the base of the tower wrapped around the poles, and you press your forehead gently to the metal. The flash that erupts from your body is blinding. The smell of burning flesh, sizzling, is nauseating. You can feel the stopping of your own heart. The tower lights up. It surges to life as you lie dead at its base, but it surges to life. The base, the feet, they pick up out of the ground, pulling wires like tree roots from the dirt, lifting the poles and stepping out onto the ground, finding its balance. The poles along the tower creak and snap, forming a large metal hand with many digits, and it reaches down, leans over, and gently picks you up, lifting you in the air. Lightning strikes. There wasn't a cloud a moment ago. Your eyes open, and the new radio tower saint cradles you gently.
Theo, I owe you a clue from the creature that fell through. Something you noticed that Jasper did not notice is it was clutching in one of its hands a gloam. Jasper, as you're stepping through the testing hangar with your gun drawn, you hear a little voice. I'm so happy to see you again.
Pickles the second?
You will see that all of the various test subjects, all of these weird creatures and energy manifestations and twisting, slithering organic masses, they all have a gloam nearby, whispering to them, keeping them calm, keeping them, sedate, under control. But there's one that's talking to you. We're so happy to see you again. We always knew you'd come back for us. How are you
You're the
feeling right
ones-
now?
I'm feeling quite good. You're the ones from the market, the ones that were taken. I remember finding you aboard the ship.
I'm so happy to hear that you're having a positive experience right now. It sounds like you've really learned how to process your emotions in a constructive way.
Oh, yes. Most assuredly, I have.
Do you really think firearms are the best way
Oh, this I
of
just
handling
found
the
it.
situation?
Oh, no, 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 no. The best way of handling this situation is sending the suicidal poxmonk into the middle of a group of scientists to do his whole thing.
Oh. And another one of the gloams says, Are you sure you don't want to just end it right now?
This feels more of end of act the second than act the third.
I want the revelation move dealing with the gloams. What are you afraid is going to happen in this moment if you don't keep control?
Feel like there are two wolves inside of me, and one is saying, I'm worried that I'll just end the performance now, a la the barrel of a gun. But the other one is saying, like, you're right, maybe Theo is badly cast, and I should just go deal with that now.
Oh,
I'm not sure which one,
Give me
but
one
either way.
wolf.
Yeah, I know. I had to give you one wolf. I'm gonna go with the wolf of PvP.
yes,
Oh.
please.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm worried that it's like, you know what? Maybe I should have. You know what, Theo? Theo is really just kind of making this performance suck. I should probably go take care of that before it gets worse.
It's oh boy, I'm not sure how it's worse than that. I like it. Let's roll with it.
It's worse than that because murder, suicide. You
Yeah,
know,
well, I
like,
mean, well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think like that's yeah. I mean, like I think we can see where this is all going.
Yeah.
This is gonna be with focus. I'm trying to think of empty the lantern or a disappointment. Oh, a disappointment because you're disappointed with Theo, possibly.
Mm.
And Theo's casting, possibly. Roll with disadvantage.
Going to mark the small ceramic disc with Mr. Pickles' paw on it as a remembrance token of, I don't want to listen or trust anything that shares the name with Pickles anymore.
Very good.
You said plus focus?
Plus focus, yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh, a note for the character keeper. It still says composure when you do the hover over.
Good to know. That is a 9.
You're going to keep it together, but I think you are purposely going to abandon Theo in the scene.
Yeah. Exit
Theo.
pursued by Saint.
Theo, you look up and you don't see Jasper anywhere. What are you doing right now?
Well, it's one less person that I need to protect. Unfortunately. But I cannot use Jasper to release my burdens because they grow heavy upon me. But there's these people here, in this place filled with saints and gloams and whatnot. It shouldn't have to exist. This place is a disease, a pestilence. Maybe they should see what it truly looks like. And I'm going to trigger my custom move, Toxic and Contagious.
Okay. What does that do?
When you have more than 3 physical conditions, you have access to clearing conditions, and in this way, in addition to let it pass on to me, when you infect someone or the physical land around you, which is just the laboratory that I'm infecting, roll with Vitality and clear a physical condition. On a hit, choose 1. On 10 plus, choose 2.
Interesting. I like it. This is a pretty good way of short-circuiting whatever they're doing here. Yeah, go ahead and roll with. Gosh, I guess it's what do you have to roll with?
Vitality.
Vitality. Okay. And yeah, you can roll with regular dice, 2d6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That is an 8.
What happens on an 8?
I only get to choose 1. I'm not going to choose, it doesn't attract unwanted
Yeah,
attention.
that's probably
but-
unavoidable here.
Yeah, but I will choose your own skin reveals the interconnection of faiths in the form of a clue. Tell the keeper what it is.
Fantastic. We'll pick up with this in a bit. Pele, you're keeping control here with Harrow. How are you feeling though right now?
Strained, I think. Restrained, even, I think, is like probably like a barking dog at the end of a fucking rope.
I'm going to give you a condition. At the end of my rope. Sounds good. But let's just keep the scene going. He's clearly threatening you. What do you do?
So what? Me and my associates work for you and you let Shay go?
Well, mostly I just want to convey to you the seriousness of my proposition and my own desire to protect my own life. I don't want you to take any rash actions, Pele. Now, once again, speaking of, where are your colleagues?
How am I supposed to know?
Well, I assume that they
dropped me
snuck
off.
in with you. How did you even get in?
They dropped me off on the floor and I started wandering around. The security is awful in this facility, actually.
There's a way you could help us. See?
I don't think you understand that I'm not going to help. We're not going to help you, and you're not going to let Shay go. So I think, unless you can convince me otherwise, that this is going to turn into anything other than violence, I just don't see a different course of action. I'm willing to make a change in my life, that I handle things without ripping somebody's spine out, but it's gotten me this far.
I think at this point, this is when alarms are starting to go off throughout the facility. Between whatever happened in the birthing center, between whatever Theo is doing, maybe just the general agitation of the Glomes right now, you start to hear alarms going off, and he says, well, I have a feeling that might be connected to wherever your colleagues are.
In that moment when he says that and probably looks off towards where that klaxon's coming from, I think Pele's just gonna whisper, fuck it. And it's just gonna try to grab him and start hitting his head up against a desk. Or
Nice.
just like kind of like with the altar in the first couple of episodes of just grab and starts trying to smash through that barrier.
I love it. I love it. Make the veiled move with vitality. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
He's gonna hit that button.
Yeah. Go ahead and. Do I want to make out the end of my rope? No, I'm not going to. No, just roll regular dice. Vitality. It's fine.
That is an 8.
Nice.
I am also going to mark something, though.
To bring it to a 10?
To bring it to a 12 plus.
Well, you can only bring it up to a 10 from an 8.
There is a move that I have called Child of the Fields that means I have created Theo 2, who has been lurking in the shadows, following behind me this entire time. And if I mark a box, it says narrate a scene describing how your scarecrow sacrifices itself to protect you or help you succeed. You no longer have access to this move.
Oh, and you get a 12 plus when you mark that. Oh, that's great. I love it. I'll let you successfully kill Von Harrow, and I'll give you a clue that you can find in his office as well. Be thinking about what that scene looks like. Sedna, is there anything you want to do while you're destroying these tanks, these vats?
I think while I'm doing it, I want to see like all the different how these things are powered. I know they were being powered by human sacrifice,
Hmm.
but trying to follow the wires along the walls, because if there is like a main generator room,
Hmm.
seems easy enough to just take that out,
Yeah, I think that's probably great. Yeah, I
destroy the
think
place.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I'll just let you do that. I think if you want to just start like a sort of like a version of what you did at the floating market, but here, I think that would be great. In that case, Jasper, I'm going to just fast forward to you really quickly. You are navigating the gentle, soothing taunts or uh, the gentle, soothing entreaties of the gloams. Are you heading in the direction of the buzzing, or are you going somewhere else? What are you doing?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm going towards the sound of the buzzing.
The very, very end of the testing hangar, you see suspended from the ceiling a titanic semi-translucent bulbous sack, inside of which crawls, you can see the silhouettes of dozens and dozens of people crawling inside it. And this sack is actually the bloated body of the sort of Urshay, if you will, the queen.
Mm.
And you see arrayed in ranks, shorn of all hair and any other identifying markings, no clothing, completely naked, dozens and dozens of the Shea Timbers, their heads looking up at this suspended queen, and they're making buzzing sounds. They are buzzing. A cacophony. I want the revelation move just for seeing this. What are you afraid is going to happen right now if you lose your nerve?
I will revere this thing.
um, it's worse than that. The queen will determine that you are what's been missing. You are what is needed to give this life dimension, personality, quality.
Tell that to my agent.
Exactly. You'll be forced to mate with the queen.
Oh, forced.
Or, by the dice.
Twist my leg, why don't you?
In character, gladly, happily mating with the queen.
The art, so bold.
Go ahead and roll with, I don't know what this is. I think it's probably communion, we'll say.
I've never had difficulties performing before. Disadvantages at play here?
I don't think so. You could roll just regular communion. What'd you get?
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes. Oh my. Let's take a 5-minute break. Start thinking about the answer to the question so that we can start moving into answering a question. We'll take 5. Setna, as you are doing this business, getting ready to basically cause like a massive electrical fire in the facility, you're approached by someone who you don't recognize. They are wearing a sort of perfectly black cowl and robe. And you can't see any other details in the low light. We are calm. We are contained. Tranquility expands from the center. No outside influence can sway us from our purpose. We are calm. We are contained. Tranquility expands from the center. No outside influence can sway us from our purpose. We are calm. We are contained. Tranquility expands from the center. No outside influence can sway us from our purpose. They pull back their hood. My name is Violet Oblivion.
I don't believe for a moment that's your real name.
You don't think my parents named me Violet Oblivion?
Really don't.
I'm a void monk, a practitioner of an anti-deity sect called the Unstruck Sound.
And what is it that you do?
You might say that I'm defined more by what I don't do.
Well, what I don't do is deal with fanatics.
And yet, you yourself have started to question the role of gods in your life.
Gods have very little role in my life.
Well, I say we give that lack of faith shape. Join us in the Unstruck Sound.
I'm not a big joiner. Why are you even here?
You might say I give philosophical shape to the activities that go on at this particular substation.
Philosophical shape. So, what's your philosophy on that thing back there that killed those people?
The Institute gets up to all sorts of business related to the creation of various divinities, uses of god flesh, experiments, some would say. I am here as a balancing force. I'm here to protect the people from, well, all the strange currents and vicissitudes of all these volatile new deities, divinities. I am anti-deity. I am a representative of the void. But I have convinced certain people that the elimination of gods entirely might be a bold new venture, a bold new direction for the Institute.
Fantastic, then you should have no problem with what I'm about to do.
Oh, I have no intention of stopping you from whatever you're about to do. I've just come to recruit you.
How is your group going about what it's doing?
There's much to discuss. But whenever all of this is over, come find me.
Violet Oblivion.
She pulls her cowl up over her head. We are calm. We are contained. Tranquility expands from the center. No outside influence can sway us from our purpose.
If I join you, I am not doing that chant.
She walks off.
Like I just kind of watch her leave, make sure she does actually get out before I start any problems.
Theo Solomon, what are you doing here?
I think Theo announces his presence as he is quite literally peeling off the burnt skin of his flesh and tossing it onto the floor. The flesh merges with metal as it starts to squish underfoot, sort of a squishy, crunchy sound. And I think the scientists take just a look at Theo and are just baffled as to what he's intending to do, because he's intending to get a little bit violent with them.
Interesting. What does the move allow? What is the move doing right now?
It just literally clears a condition, and I find a clue.
Oh, okay.
So,
but you're spreading disease throughout this part
yeah.
of the facility.
Mhm.
Fantastic. I love it. What clue did you find?
I think sort of like one of the scientists, like in shock, drops this sort of metallic collar. Theo recognizes as like a sort of a person shock collar. You put it on saints when you let them out for the first time, when they start to engage with the public, but you're not exactly you're sure of what they would do, because you don't want them to accidentally hurt people now, do you?
Indeed. Pele Kessel, give me the scene. What happens here?
We see the klaxons going off, that very confident look upon Pele's target. Now there is no longer a person there, and Pele goes to grab him by the shoulders, puts a big meaty hand behind, and starts trying to bang his head up against this desk. And this barrier is getting in the way, and the doctor's just laughing at this point. And then Pele is like trying to breach their fingers in between this, like trying to push past this barriers, pushing, and it's just hurting Pele, and there's no getting through, and this doctor is reaching out, laughing, trying to hit this button and everything. And then you feel the smell of wheat in the air, which is weird because like it's an enclosed space, and it just out of nowhere there's a rustling of straw, like a broom moving across the floor. And the doctor goes, "What the fuck?" and just gets hopped upon by this scarecrow wearing a floral shirt. And Haley looks bewildered, and you can start hearing burning, like you start smelling burnt reeds and wheat as the scarecrow is pushing its fingers around this, like the contain, like where this barrier is coming from, and pushing and pushing, and Pele is crying, oddly enough, but is trying to bang this guy's head up against the desk, and you can see it's getting closer, and we see this guy's eye getting closer to the edge of this desk with each hit. And those laughs of him laughing at this start going into, no, stop it. I can give you what you want. I can give you exactly what you want, what you and your compatriots want, all these things that you've ever wanted, to sever you, to let you be free. And then there is just a spark of electricity as Theo 2 gets launched across the room, like hands on fire, and the rest starts catching fire of it. And then finally, when that happens, Pele looks over, looks at the doctor, and the doctor goes, "Please?" And then there's a slam, squunch, slam, squunch, squelch, and just multiple just squelching noises as the body collapses. And much like the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling, we then see Pele stand over this guy and then with one big boot slam into his head multiple times, stomping. And then there's just nothing but klaxon and that sound of burning wheat. And Pele turns and quickly moves over to Theo 2, who's just on fire and like puts out the fire, but it's too much. And there's just that smiling face looking up, burnt around it. And Pele does the closing eye motion, but it's purely symbolic. And then stands up, and it's time to get to work more so. We'll start overturning the office, just like everything. Just like look through everything. If there's anything useful, start grabbing it, putting it into a bag.
So you have a clue. I think for Jasper, I think the way this is going to go, Alex, is so obviously you're either going to retire Jasper right now and we get to see a horrifying scene of Jasper becoming one with the hive, or you are going to, don't say yet what you're doing, or you're going to write a verse and that's not going to happen. But I think the only way we're going to learn Jasper's outcome is in the final confrontation with the Institute. And so I think we have to answer the question at this point. And so let's remind you, how does the Institute plan to implement their project of creating new saints without the intervention of gods? It's a complexity 6. Here's what we know. They are producing these doppelgangers, and I'll add a little extra bit. They let the doppelgangers, or some of the doppelgangers are roaming around with the general public. That's, I think, important. You do have this dog-eared safety instruction handbook, which might have some interesting information that will help your theory. Shay's doppelgangers are clearly what's being used to create the saints. The saints are they are the vessel. They're at least test subjects. The test subjects have glomes with them. There is a series of informal notes detailing a personal theory and untested prayer mark. That's another one of those kind of give it context in the moment sort of clues. The Institute uses electric collars on the saints. And then we have whatever Pele discovers in Von Harrow's office. So who wants to say, like, what is the Institute's plan? Like, how are they doing this? How are they making these gods? What are they doing?
I can start.
Okay.
They
There's also the
are-
very interesting context that we have this hive that is creating where the shays
That's
are being made.
exactly where I am starting. This hive mind idea, this idea from bees to have a hive mind that is in control of an entire mass population. The doppelgangers are created saints without a deity. There needs to be some level of control over them. That's where the hive mind will come in. Now, this is still in testing, which is why we have doppelgangers that aren't part of the hive mind yet, but that is that's why some of them are out in the public, in the general public.
Wait, so they have to let some of them go out into the public, because it's interesting, because we actually saw in the out of character scene after one of the sessions, we saw the Institute like doing intake on one of the doppelgangers. So it's like the doppelgangers have to go out and be part of the world for a little bit and then they return.
It's all part of the testing process. They
Okay.
need these creatures to act in predictable ways.
Yeah.
And you can't just automatically attach to the hive mind. That I think that's still in the progress. So some of the doppelgangers aren't really attached to the hive mind, but they're still trying to make sure that they are controllable, they are predictable, and you have to do repeated tests. That's how
Oh, I
science
see.
works.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See if they come back. Yeah, we like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So the hive mind is an important part of this. What's the connection of this of hive minding the test subjects into the like? What's the importance of that to the creation of the saints, like turning them into monsters? Like, what's that connection?
If they can create saints, there's no need for deities. You can create
Right.
a saint to cause, to power things, to that all the stuff that a god could do, a hive mind could do if you had enough control over the hive mind and the saints.
Oh, I see. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, because I guess what I'm getting at is like, why is this better than just getting people off the streets like they were originally doing, or like they?
It's also the doppelganger and just nature of being able to do public control, right? Of being
Yeah.
able to like swap people out. And if like it's one thing to have a like manufactured array of worker drones, it's another thing to be able to say create a doppelganger of an adjudicator who is part of their controllable hive mind to still
Oh.
continue to, alter things as they see fit.
Amanda also has a good note of like reproducibility, which is
Yep.
interesting,
Mhm.
like almost factory like
Yep.
that's intriguing. Interesting.
And also, I mean, like, I know, like peeling back some of the knowledge of the institute itself, with like that this whole like Substation Eremos came about because of the Linger Straits, their island, Tementry Isle, like being able to have a doppelganger program that could even infiltrate the political circles of the Linger Straits, and get the
Mhm.
CLS like possibly have like agents within their own structures that are controlled by
Oh.
them and are just doppelgangers, pod people.
Oh, so this is like a multi-purpose
Yeah.
thing going on here. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
You got to start small, work your way
Yeah.
up, which is why we've got Shays to start with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the I think we've done yeah, I mean, I think the idea of like wanting these doppelgangers, these clones, to be what I think we've pretty well established why they're perfect test subjects. If they're part of this hive mind, maybe the eventual saints can be controlled more easily. Maybe we can come up with like a consistent process for creating the saints. We can duplicate them.
The rest of these clues attach themselves pretty neatly to just like the ways that they are currently operating and the ways they're kind of controlled. Like the fact of the matter is with the glomes, it's kind of like a reverse lobotomy. And like it's like whereas like the current state of these things have been manufactured in a way that their susceptibility to being controlled, they are also emotionally volatile in their current iteration. So they are kind of using these glomes to help maneuver them. Those notes about like personal theories and untested prayer marks are marks that could be utilized for stability in the manufacturing process, but they have not been fully implemented. The control with the collars is another and then the dog-eared safety instruction handbook is just more context for like
It all
kind
just
of how they work.
It all speaks to the hive mind, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what they really want is they want to be able to discard all of these like these control things, so that that's really good. It's a more efficient way of controlling the eventual saints that are created, and even using the clones in other applications like spying and infiltration.
Mhm.
That's really interesting. Okay, I'm feeling this. This is pretty good. So
We need our Pele
basically,
clue.
I like it. It's really interesting. If we look back into the campaign, one of the things that we remember, I don't know if your custodians are ever going to be aware of this, but it was really interesting that what they were originally doing was creating honeycomb saints for candy production, and my sense is that eventually led to the discovery of, oh, we can make one a queen of the hive, and oh, look, we can like birth more of them, and then their creative brains started flowing. This is really interesting. So basically what it all boils down to is their project of creating saints without gods comes with a certain level of difficulty because they're difficult to control. Hence all the various like notes and other equipment that we've seen and the glomes, like they're hard to control. And so if we can instead of using randos off the street or people who sign up at Welkin's Vigil or whatever, and we can just like create our own people for hallowing into saints, then that's great. We cut out like a big part of the we cut out the variability, the randomness. And then furthermore, we don't have a god, but ironically they do kind of have a god, right? That's what the hive is, right? That's what the queen is, right? But they're too, they're not seeing that. In their mind, they control the queen, and this is really good. I like it. So it's a good answer to the question too. Like ultimately, the way they're implementing their like homegrown saint program is to
grow their saints at home.
to grow their to grow their own subjects for hallowing and to create a hive mind network to make them easy to control. That's really interesting. I mean, they've just created a god is all they've done, but whatever. Well, I'm sure at Farragal HQ they don't really like, they gloss over that part,
They have
like,
total control over this god.
like,
Don't worry about it.
Someone in the back corner of the C-suite's like, didn't we just create a god though? And they're like, no, this is totally different. This is completely different. Yeah. I like it. It's really good. So Pele, what's the clue is there anything you want to add here from your notes that'll help hammer this home? Just give you that extra bump on the die roll.
I think we do find in like the doctor's like office and everything, there is a smaller, almost like terrarium to kind of help hit this home with like the bee kind of hive mind kind of thing. But it is a human brain that is shaped like honeycomb that's kept.
Oh God.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good.
Absolutely triggering my trypophobia, but I'm not X-carding it. That's so delicious.
It's really good. I love it. It's a +1 on the roll. Who wants to roll it?
I mean, I'm about to fuck the hive, so that is with a +1, 9.
9. You have unlocked the opportunity to resolve the confrontation by sabotaging, reclaiming, or destroying the work of the Institute. I think at this point we need to know. I want to fast forward to Theo, Pele, and Sedna getting together. The facilities are melting down, right? Like it's totally melting down. Fires everywhere, total chaos. But the three of you were down there in front of the drones, in front of the queen. And I think we need to know, Jasper, what they see.
I am going to write a verse on my result to have not been immediately caught in flagrante delicto. I'm going to mark the bleeding revelation because I think that's a very funny fucking one to mark here. So it would bump me up from a miss to a hit at least in my roll. So what do they see? Well, actually, I will say, like, since that roll was on my like because it was like me, like, just upon seeing it, I know what I would like Jasper.
Yeah, you're in control. So just tell me what you're gonna do. Yeah.
Looking up at the swollen hive of the Urshay, hyphen Shay, which is just a great fucking name. He just smiles of just almost like an endearment of like how wonders never cease. And he raises the Hangfeld A80 pistol that he grabbed earlier, and he just says, "It's curtains for you, babe." And he pulls the trigger and shoots the hive to burst the belly of the sack.
This is what the three of you walk into. Well, really, it's what Pele and Sedna walk into. Pele and Sedna walk into the testing hangar with all these like creatures like melting down, dying, being destroyed by the various security measures. Theo, Theo, what do they see with you right now? Like, what is your physical body doing right now as you release disease into this level?
I think we see sort of Theo like taking off the shirt of Crab's Fury and like sort of wringing out like the pus and the pestilence and like looking. Theo looks perfectly fine. Everything around him, Theo is kind of fucked. I think we have like the scientists crying out in like visible pain and just suffering, and Theo is just callously looking on of like disgusted with like everything going around and just like everything's like something's on fire. It's just like, oh, hello. Uh, we have to go now.
There's a large fire in the sub-basement.
We have to get them out. We have to get them out now. The head doctor is alive. Or dead. Dead. Sorry, dead.
I think that's when the gunshot goes off.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you would have like conferred, figured out what's going on here, shared
Mhm.
notes, and figured out what you got to do. And that's when you hear gunshots ringing out at the end of the testing hangar.
Who gave Jasper a gun?
And
Jasper gave Jasper a gun.
here's the problem that Jasper and now all of you are having to deal with. The drones react to Jasper shooting the queen, and they all like snap to and start like, you know, they open their mouths and they make, and they look like they're screaming, but instead of screams, it's just loud buzzing that like that like blasts out at you. And to make matters even more disgusting, a bunch of malformed drones that were in the big sack are falling out down onto the ground. And even though they can't walk, they can crawl, and they're all kind of goopy and weird and
Yeah,
twisted.
to make
looking.
things even more gross is when it explodes, Jasper is now covered in amniotic honey.
Exactly, right.
Okay.
You all need to tell me how you're going to try to survive this situation.
With my gun. With my fucking gun.
It doesn't matter that you have a fucking gun. Theo is going to try to grab you and just pull you out of there.
Sure, absolutely. I'm just firing on these drones as you're pulling me.
Let's just do it one by one. Sedna, there are angry drones rushing towards you, buzzing in your face. What do you do?
I think I am going to. Ooh. I have an oil lantern. The oil lantern that never goes out. I think I'm just going to take it out of my pack and smash it against something so that it breaks. The oil will be on fire and catch all of the things on fire as they come at me.
Fantastic. Pele, there are half-formed drones. They can't quite make their buzzing sound yet because their vocal cords and stuff aren't perfectly formed yet, and they look kind of like melted things, and they're crawling toward you, and they're making their sort of like guttural half buzzes like and they all look kind of vaguely like Shay. What do you do?
God, that's deeply upsetting. I think I'm gonna take one last god flesh fragment that I have in my collection right now, and I'm gonna eat it. And I chomp down, and you can taste the succulent, sweet, earthy taste of honey. And Pele smiles and goes, "We'll find a home for you." And I'm going to try to coax the bees into like maybe like a travel hive that they have. And I'm going to try to get them out of there. Like, I'm going to try to like get them out instead of like stomping all these things. Pele's going to be trying to grab these little shade bees to like let them out.
Oh, I mean, they're pretty big, I would say.
Oh,
They're like half size people, right?
okay.
But I do like the idea of you like trying to get them to safety. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Theo, I think you kind of described how you were more directly just trying to get Jasper out of there.
Yeah.
And Jasper's like, Jasper, are you just like shooting willy-nilly, Jasper? Just like,
Bam, 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 bam.
I
It's like I looked like Jennifer Coolidge at the end of White Lotus season 2. Bam, bam, bam.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's so good.
I'm effectively trying to put myself in harm's way to protect someone else.
I know. Yeah, I'm into it.
And Jasper's not being very cooperative.
I will let you do a revelation move to save you and Jasper, and if Jasper doesn't mind, you can use Jasper's gun for advantage.
Yeah, yes, please do. Yes, please do.
So, what do you afraid is going to happen if you don't get out of there safely?
I think Jasper, just by being an unwieldy, like gun touting guy, who's only probably used ever like a prop gun in his life, is going to accidentally shoot me.
Accidentally.
I think it's worse than that. It's worse than that. Jasper, you will then also get swarmed by clone drones. Let's get your roll done first, Theo. Go ahead and roll with vitality.
Mm-hmm. I think drop the dice on the bread. So, that is vitality 10.
All right, fantastic. The two of you are safe. Sedna, you're also doing the revelation move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail right now?
The bees, the drones, the things will be on fire, and they'll still come towards me, but now they're on fire.
And indeed, your flesh will melt into theirs. Go ahead and roll with. I think I'm actually going to give you insight for quick thinking.
Ooh. Do my conditions apply?
Nope.
I think this is too fast, yeah. And that's a 9.
Nice. I'm going to give you a burn, so you get burned up a little bit, but you are otherwise safe. Think about what your scene looks like. Pele, were you triggering a move a little bit ago?
Yeah, I'm going to do brand new angel flavor. Do one thing that is beyond or lure a specific person or entity to me. So I am essentially trying to play Mama Pele and lure these little
Right. Did you
child
do the roll
size.
yet?
No, I have not done the roll yet, but it is with communion.
All
So
right.
I'm rolling that now. That is a 9.
I think because of problematic meat, I want you to throw another die in there.
That was a disadvantage. That was a 4, so that is going to be more than what I got because that was a 6 and a 3, or not a 6 and a 3. That was a 4 and a 3, so 7. Then plus 2 is 9.
You're still in. Okay, you're still there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So on a hit, you have to choose an effect and a complication on a 7. So you got your effect. What's your complication?
The miracle is short-lived or less effective than I wanted.
Oh, I think I've got it. You can only save one of them. In your narration, I want you to describe how the rest of them meet their ill fate.
I think Pele's saying like, come on, come with me, come this way. And they're just all mewing and crying and trying to like crawl to. And it's like, use your, can't you fly? And what one does hear and understand and starts flying, and the rest of them you can just hear just screaming and like this scream buzzing as fire is just, but they can't do anything to stop themselves from catching fire. And Pele just goes, fine, one of you then, come on, and is just going to help it get out.
Theo, Jasper, and Sedna, you all can just describe the rest of the scene, your escape, and the eventual destruction of the facility.
After the fire spreads across as many drones as I possibly can get, I just throw the remains of the oil lantern at anything that might still be moving, and I book it just as fast as I can.
Jasper, they are on fire now. You can stop shooting, please.
I ran out of bullets. Throw the gun.
Okay. Like Theo is covered
But
in
you know,
grog.
blazing fire and all that, and it's just like Theo's tugging him. He throws the gun. He like spins around, like looks at the room, and he just does a extremely dramatic bow.
I hate this.
I love it. I love it. You all can eventually find an emergency stair exit that will get you close enough to the surface to escape. Actually, it's not even the surface. I think this just kind of lets out into like the side of the mountain, essentially. And you're just kind of like hanging out on the side of the mountain, and maybe hopefully somebody will at some point come rescue you or respond to this situation. But behind you, you can hear the klaxons. You can hear the collapsing of structures. You can even hear some faint screams. Helicopters are buzzing overhead. And that concludes the confrontation.
We did it.
We did it. We're going to do our quick end of session, and then after end of session, we're going to do a campaign epilogue for each of the characters. This is just a campaign epilogue, just kind of where we see you at the end of the campaign. But let's go ahead and do our end of session. Okay, first things first. Collect rewards. There were rewards. I will clip this, paste it in here for you. Oops, I always do that wrong. Hold on. There we go. I'll read them off. A fragment of a saint or angel. Pick one. A vial of ash, a bone splinter, a sealed jar of viscous amber liquid, a lump of glittering crystal-infused matter. A typed invocation of a dangerous experimental god. Pick one. Hunger, panic, paranoia, rage, despair, or rapture. A prayer scroll in a sealed tube, which invokes a small miracle. Pick one. Snow, moonlight, silence, plant growth, or euphoria. A piece of tactical gear or experimental technology. Describe it and then add it. A reclaimed artifact of a forgotten god. Describe it, then add it. Or Orion Lux becomes a recurring side character. Orion managed to escape. He can aid you in investigations as a research consultant. You get one extra clue when consulting them about matters related to data or research. So who wants what?
I will take a prayer scroll of the Miracle of Silence.
Fantastic.
That's too funny.
Finally, Jasper's gonna be silent.
No, I'm going to make other people silent.
I'm gonna take Orion Lux as a recurring side character.
Fantastic. Note that somewhere, probably in the records section. Theo, what are you taking?
A piece of tactical gear or experimental technology from the facility. Theo wouldn't describe it as experimental, but it has some sort of familiarity to him. I won't go any further that because that involves some of my verses, but I will take the electric shock collar.
Okay, interesting. Sedna, what are you taking?
I'm going to take a typed invocation of a dangerous experimental god. I think I'm going to take Rapture.
Fun. I love it. Great. Let's keep going. End of session questions. You did resolve an assignment because the confrontation counts as an assignment, so everybody gets credit for that. Did you engage with the god, angel, etc.? Oh, yes, you all did. Theo, did you do the monologue?
I would say I did, and Jasper interrupted me.
Jasper did interrupt you. Did you undermine the orders of your superiors or use the assignment to pursue personal interests?
I technically say I would also do that because like effectively I was just like rampaging throughout the facility, plaguing it. I wouldn't say that was necessary or even helpful to my fellow custodians.
I mean, to some degree, you were all kind of going off script, I think. So you can take credit for it because this whole thing was kind of undermining Based, right? Because Based didn't want you doing this. Sedna, did you deliver the monologue?
I did not.
Okay, I think you did do the undermining orders.
I wasn't going to let this place survive.
Yeah, Jasper, you can get undermining orders. Did you deliver the monologue, Jasper?
I'm monologuing the elevator, but I don't count that as like the monologuing of those options.
Those particular options, yeah. Pele, did you struggle with your personal faith?
Yeah, a lot of that during that time of just going through and rampaging and actually trying to like, instead of like having like, shucking and sacrificing and, putting blood on the crops during the initial part of the session, I would say it did end up with the initial, like then putting blood, feeding the crops essentially.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you deliver the monologue?
Yes, I did to Orion and
right,
to
yeah.
the doctor of why are you trying to play gods? You're not
Yeah.
gods. Yeah.
Very good. Fantastic. Do we have any verse prompts that are unresolved?
I have my bleeding revelation, and I can make it very quick.
Please do.
So, narrate a flashback to when you realized even your best performance would never be good enough. What terrifying premonition drove you onward? When you encounter a new side character, you can ask the keeper what role the watcher wants to see them play. But so we see a younger Jasper walking off stage to the din of applause at the end of a performance, walking into the shadowed wings. He is coated in sweat, his hair a wet mop atop his head, and he is breathing heavily. The smile spread wide across his face as he steps out from the proscenium into the wings, and as the shadow of the backstage drapes his features, the smile falls away into a scowl, a hollow, gnawing sense of dissatisfaction. It was supposed to be enough. It was supposed to be the all-encompassing water in the desert, machine gun fucking orgasm feeling of being perfect and of being seen. And so far, it just feels fucking exhausting. We see him enter his dressing room, like dramatically, like sweeps his arm across, knocking things off of it, clutching the edges of the table. He takes the bottle of wine that someone had gifted him, a fan, uncorks and begins to drink it, and slumps in his chair, feeling so exhausted and disappointed in himself, the world, everything. And when he looks back up, he goes pale because looking in the mirror is himself, but it's not his reflection. He sees an older, haggard, fatter Jasper, who doesn't seem to have necessarily taken the keenest interest in fashion, staring back at him with hateful eyes. And he, sits back astonished. And this reflection Jasper pulls out a gun and points it at him, and uncertain, terrified of what he's looking at. When the trigger gets pulled, he blinks and he finds his hand, pounded against the glass of the mirror, now cracking and breaking where that gun was hovering over. He looks at his bleeding hand. He looks at that, and he doesn't know what any of that means or why that just happened to him, but the hate, the emptiness in those eyes, surely that can't be what comes of staying committed to the craft, can it? Can it? Best not to tempt fate, really.
Nice. Let's do campaign epilogue for your character. Just a quick glimpse at where we see them at the end of this campaign arc.
I'm going to request to go last if that's cool with anyone.
I think we see Pele after all of that, making sure that whoever could get out got out, that was supposed to get out or should get out, and then making sure that the rest of the custodians are okay and safe. And I think was kind of quiet, but stuck around with them for like the immediate after effects, went through debriefing of sorts. And but there was a moment where Pele kept sneaking away and kept going to check on something, but came back. Another assignment was given, and Pele accepted to go with the group. But I think at one point during the night, maybe Theo or Sedna would notice that Pele had left the group, took the motorcycle with the sidecar, and went on. Sedna would have found a note in her things that said that that Pele would be back if needed, and if they ever needed Pele, then to give a call. They would know how to get in contact. But Pele needed to get some work done. And at the end of this, I think we see Pele driving this motorcycle and stopping, and we see a figure in the sidecar. And Pele is going around and doing minor like custodial duties that are unofficial, but is like helping people out, is getting a little bit violent with people that act violent towards others that are less than, things of that nature, just going around and just enjoying the road and enjoying eating diner food and looking at weird billboards, all these things that they did with the other custodians. And then finally we see this other person with them, and it's Shay. This grown from this little bee thing has grown into this Shay person, which reflects the advancement I took, which is I have gained a follower. I have made them as a custom side character by the name of Shay B, which is SHAEBEA. And you can tell looks almost exactly like Shay in all ways, except there are these fleshy wings that have to be kept hidden. And so Shay wears like very like kind of like bulky clothing to kind of cover them up, but rides in the sidecar alongside Pele as they travel across the peninsula.
Nice, thank you.
Theo is never quite certain what's the rest of the custodians' obligations towards Based is. But for Theo, there are certain protocols when things get out of hand. And the Institute was a certain situation that got out of hand. I think this is in the following weeks when the BIASD realized that our group was responsible to the collapse of the Institute, and for all their trouble, they are still an official organization, so things need to be investigated. And Theo has been placed on sort of a hold leave. It's unclear. What is clear is the current moment where Theo is handcuffed to sort of in an interrogation room, sort of head entirely shaved, beard shaved off, in sort of a hospital gown, sort of being tested and prodded because Theo showed up looking a little bit worse for wear. You need to know what sort of conditions that a pox martyr may have and would continue to hold on to when they really shouldn't hold on to it anymore. I think we see sort of a different member of the organization sort of integrating what exactly happened. And then eventually the shock collar gets brought out onto the table and is asked what this is. What did you find there? And Theo just says, well, I found based technology at the Institute. It would be very interesting that if it were to get out amongst the organization that there has been sort of unauthorized collaboration amongst the groups, wouldn't there? But you have to realize, I did come back of my own free will. So I would say that certain experiments were a success. You have to admit that, at least. And that's where the scene's going to end.
Sedna is sitting in just a small little cafe. Maybe a diner. Haven't been to a diner in a while. Sitting in a little diner in one of the booths, looking at the note that Pele had left when she is joined by a person in a very dark hood. She folds the note back up and tucks it gently into her bag, crosses her hands and puts them on the table and looks Violet Oblivion straight in the face. Says, 2 conditions. 3. I'm not doing the chant. I am retaining my position at BIASD. It has some drawbacks, but it generally speaking gives me a lot of opportunity to do the things I need to do. And I'm going to continue doing them. 3, you need to understand that I am basically a god. But that doesn't mean I won't take them down. If you can agree to those conditions, then I can agree to work with you.
And eventually, I'm going to transition directly from that. Eventually, when Sedna leaves, the camera will pan a few booths over in the diner where Jasper, holding a broadsheet up in front of his face, lowers it slightly and watches them go, chuckles slightly to himself, folds it, sets it to the side, and just kind of begins to sign the bill and just muttering to himself, Sedna, you naughty girl, and just signs it. And when the waitress comes over and asks him, anything else for you, sir, before you head out? No, quite delicious, thank you. I'm enjoying a delightful tax-free bonus from a closed case at my job. Actually, one more thing. Where's your bathroom? She points to it and he goes, thank you. Takes his bag and gets up, pats his belly contentedly from the meal, and walks into the bathroom. It's one of those single service bathrooms, so just a toilet, a sink, a mirror. And closes the door. Click as he turns the lock. Takes his messenger bag off his shoulder and sets it down. Ponders the light switch. reaches for it, turns it off, unzips his jacket, removes it, removes his shirt, and from his satchel pulls out the crown of stinging nettles and brambles, places it upon his brow, presses it into the skin, turns on the light again to look himself in the mirror, red lines beginning to trail down his face as he looks at himself very closely, examines it, winces slightly at the pain, but lets it sting, lets it hurt, lets himself suffer. And then he reaches into his satchel and takes out another thing, the floral shirt from Theo that he took off at the floating market, puts it on, buttons it up, looks himself in the mirror, and after a moment he says, "Hello, I'm Theo Solomon. Hello, I'm Theo Solomon. Hello, I'm Theo Solomon."
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. Let's go to stars and wishes. We're a little past time, so if anybody has to go, you can go. But yeah, stars and wishes for today, the whole campaign even. Like I said, I don't think we're done with these characters. I think we will see them again in the future. But for now, we're done with the Silt versus RPG. And I'll just kick off with the star that I really loved the epilogues. They were all very, very fun and enjoyable. And they were all like very like setting up a new season of the TV show, right? Like that was fun, like, you know, kind of setting up the next thing, which is enjoyable. I thought the paint the scene answers were really good, and I also I had a lot of individual stars, but the one that jumps out to me right now is just describing Jasper as Jennifer Coolidge in White Lotus, just shooting gun randomly. That was really, really good. Love the scene between Vaughn, Harrow, and Pele. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, I personally had a lot of fun, like just narrating like monsters and stuff and gross monster things, and that was really, really enjoyable for me. I thought the answer a question was really solid. The conclusion we all came to was really dramatic and epic, and yeah, just overall a really fun, epic, dramatic conclusion to the campaign. Action packed.
Yeah, I have very, very similar stars. The only notes I made were, oh, a gun, because that was just such a funny moment. So I'm very glad that it ended up being used quite a bit, because why else would it be there? Um, yeah, Jasper's whole deal this session was great. It was fantastic. I did not know what kind of choices you were going to make. And I'm glad certain ones were made and certain ones we didn't have to hear. So that's good. Theo gone mad. I love seeing this bad side of Theo, this like really angry side, and causing all the infection, infecting the whole building. That was awesome, and it was gross. I really liked that. I'm excited to see what this does to Theo's personality, later on. Pele and the Doctor and Theo too. That whole scene was awesome. I'm so sad that Theo too is gone, but what a heroic way to go for our favorite little guy. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really liked how we came up with the solution. The solution we came up with was cool. All of the stuff that you pulled together, Jason, it really flowed in well. Everything's just sort of made sense. Like it feels like we had a fully planned season, even though we were just making up as we went. So yeah, stars for everybody. This is great. Wishes to
Yeah.
see more.
Yeah, right. Oh God. Stars to the sounds Jason made. Obviously, Jason's very good at sounds, but specifically that it was the build up to the gurgling baby sound, because I knew it was going to be coming. I knew it was coming, and then I was not at all disappointed. That was gross and very disturbing. Really got to say, like, this is kind of like a campaign wide star for, it's both a self star and a star for Amanda of I originally, played Jasper for a 3-session play test last year, and had a, fun time with it. And so I'm very appreciative of Amanda for encouraging me to keep playing Jasper Finch, because truly I really have a hard time wrapping my brain around just the shape of everything that he is becoming, and he's such a weird guy. But I've had such a great time playing him and making awful choices. So that was just very, very happy that I got to continue that journey from our original playtest. Yeah, I mean, I a lot to star with Pele's moments throughout the session, especially with Lux was his name, and also Von Harrow. That whole scene was great. But I don't know, like the thing that stuck out to me was at the beginning of the session of being like, oh, you should go to the ground floor and do security. And Pele was fucked up, was so wounded. It was the way that like you smelled like, I'll go wherever you need me to. And I was just like, oh God, immediately like sent shivers down my spine. I forgot that he was so bad off at that moment. I hate to say it. I said it in the chat, but I hate to say it out loud is I was craving brisket all of a sudden. And I might need to order barbecue at some point this week. That was really awesome. And yeah, everything with this like the Shay, so gross. So I'm imagining the barn scene in, oh God, what's that old James Gunn horror comedy movie? With, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Slither, yeah, Slither. Yeah, it reminded me of the barn scene from Slither. And that was just so gross. And yeah, I just chaotic and we're kind of like had some brief message exchanges of just being like, I'm gonna go fuck up some scientists, and I'm like, hell yeah, and that did not disappoint. Bringing the suffering upon them was such a rad scene. That was awesome. But overall, between the ninth step and then going into this game, so with that same group, has been like so much fun. Very tonally different, but in some ways, but in many ways not. Like we still are. We get to pull out the sillies of one another really well, and it's just a delight to be able to do gross, weird things together.
Yeah, I want to give a star to Sedna, Amanda. The warpath continues. That was fucking fantastic. I can't wait to see what other god-like, I don't know, just where is Sedna gonna end up? What is Sedna gonna become? Somebody stop her, but I can't. I won't, because not only do I support women's rights, I support women's wrongs. Theo, who would have guessed way back in the first session that Theo Solomon would become the moral center and compass for this group? But here we are. I didn't say it was a good moral compass or center, but it's the one we got, and so this is what we've got. I enjoyed so much of Theo, and throughout this entire process, and I'm glad that we had a lot of those sessions where it was just Theo and Pele together. I think a lot came together about Pele for me through those interactions, where a lot of things solidified for my verses and everything, and it was really cool to be able to work off of you. Alex, Jasper is should be put down, should be sent someplace far away to a farm upstate, where he can frolic amongst the trees and everything, because geez, there's no good that can come of this. Nothing can come of this man going around and trying to become Theo Solomon. There's so many wild swings, and you do this. I get to witness this. I got to witness this with your public access character. I get to witness this with this guy, from Brindlewood Bay to the Silt verses and everything in between. Holy shit, Jasper.
Tell me about the rabbit, Sedna.
Oh God, Jasper Finch is a shadow on the wall of the cave. There is no Jasper Finch. It's just one of the characters within this vessel's brain. And you embodied that so many times. And Jason, this is such a good time. It feels star for this and the system, and for like what you and Gabriel have created and everything. It feels of the podcast so much that it is so in this day and age of IP TTRPGs, where it feels like they are only a representative of the IP and name only, this feels so of the world, and it feels like it belongs to it, and it feels like this is happening someplace on the peninsula away from whatever is happening with Faulkner and everyone else within the series. It's so good. So kudos to you on all that. And kudos on this confrontation and truly giving me a moment where I was stumped as to like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm just gonna rely on violence, but but thank you. Like you gave me a moment of being like, do I? Do I? Nah, I can't possibly. But it was good. It was fun. It's always enjoyable. Yeah. Always. I can't wait to see what comes next for this group. It's gonna be wild, wild stuff.
Yeah, I gotta give a star for everyone for making very bold choices when it comes to like dealing with like the institute of like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna hold on. I'm not gonna kill him. And then you just end up killing the guy anyways. That was just horrifying. Sedna of just like, listen, we're gonna have 3 stipulations for this, so how this is gonna turn out. I'm going to join you, but like I'm not going to do whatever this weird ass chant. I'm still part of based, and oh yeah, I'm actually a god. Don't you forget that. um, so I'm really looking forward to what conditions this transform into for Sedna. That's and Jasper Finch wanting to become Theo Solomon is just a really fascinating take because Theo doesn't want to be Theo Solomon because like look where he's at. Like I don't know if anyone else knows. So like I'm looking very forward to like season 2 of like Theo showing up in a completely different outfit, different looks, and just like Jasper being bewildered of what happened there. What's going on with that? I need to do a character study. So, uh, I'm just I don't know where we're going to go because like I know like we did like a good portion of the assignments. Like there's like
Yeah, there's only a
maybe
couple that are not like that we didn't do. Yeah.
yeah, maybe 2. Like
Got to pull from the writing contest.
mhm.
Yeah, luckily there's a whole contest that just happened.
Yeah.
I suspect by the time we get ready to pick this back up again, we'll have plenty of material to draw from. Yeah, I will say I was a star for speaking of the assignments and stuff. I want to give a star to the various writers on the game who wrote these assignments. I had so much fun with them. I do think my favorite was the Skyward Sprawl. That was actually the one I really enjoyed the most. It was just so gruesome and fun, and it was actually I really love that one in this campaign because it was like Sedna's, you know, and like we got to really see it was like a hyper focus on Sedna, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate that comment, Wes, about like this being a licensed RPG that feels like it's like it feels intentional and it feels like it was not just a, let's face it, just a cash grab, right? Like this was actually like something created and for this universe and integrated into this universe. And so that makes me really happy to hear because that was a big focus for us, right? Like I was like really upfront with Gabriel, like I only want to do this because I think we can do something with it, right? Not because it's clearly not like the kind of IP that we're going to go make $1 million on. Well, not right away anyway. And like it's not the kind of thing that's like, you know, that has like a lot of immediate name recognition. And so the only reason why I want to do it is because I think there's a good game here. And so so it's really nice to hear. And I agree. I think this game, we told some really interesting stories. In my other campaign, we're telling some really interesting, quite different still, but interesting stories, like in the same framework. And so it's a level of like character work that I have not seen in another game. I mean, like the Between gets kind of close, but Between is so like genre focused that I think that it doesn't have the same amount of room to do like really like outside of the box, like in the way this game does, like outside of the box, like character concepts and ideas that you can get in this game. So I really loved it for that reason. So yeah. And this was a really fun campaign. It was a blast. Really enjoyed these characters, and I'm excited to see them at some point in the future again. So, any other stars and wishes? Okay. In that case, if you were watching this campaign, we hope you enjoyed it, and we're now going to sign off. Goodbye.
Bye.